Hello and good evening. In this article, 5 women who accuse Jeffrey Epstein of abusing them say Prince Andrew witnessed how people were given massages at the sex offenders' homes. The lawyer for the women has told BBC Panorama he plans to serve subpoenas to force the Duke of York to testify as a witness in all 5 cases. He says the prince should have important information about sex trafficking. The prince says he does not witness or suspect any suspicious behavior while being Jeffrey Epstein's friend in his visits to his home. Epstein took his own life in a jail cell in August, aged 66, while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The lawyers for the victims of the U.S. financier David Boies said, "One of the things that we have tried is to interview Prince Andrew and to try to get what his explanation is. He was a frequent visitor. They ought to submit to an interview. They ought to talk about it." The subpoenas, court summonses to give testimony have been prepared for all 5 cases and would have to be signed off by a judge once the prince was on U.S. soil. He would then be able to challenge the subpoena in court if he did not want to give evidence. Another lawyer, Spencer Coven, who questioned Epstein a decade ago and now represents several of his unnamed alleged victims, made a personal plea for Prince Andrew to give a sworn testimony. Quote, "Be a man. Stand up for what you believe and what you're saying is the truth, and come forward." Quote. Mr. Cooven said he is not planning to serve a subpoena, but added, "If he truly wants to help these victims, then step forward." The letter cast doubt on when Duke met Epstein. Panorama also uncovered new information about the infamous photo of Prince Andrew with his arm around 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, then called Virginia Roberts. She said that she, the Prince, Epstein, and his then girlfriend, the socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, went to Tramp Night Club in London. Miss Giuffre said that in the car on the way back, Ghislaine tells me that I have to do for Andrew what I do for Jeffrey, and that just made me sick. When they got back to the house, she said she asked Epstein to take a picture of her to show her family. She then carried out the instructions to entertain the prince. Well, there was a bath, and it started there, and then it led into the bedroom, and it didn't last very long, the whole entire procedure. It was disgusting. He wasn't mean or anything, but he got up, and he said thanks, and walked out. This is a real photo. Prince Andrew emphatically denies any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Giuffre and says any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation. He said he has no recollection of ever meeting her. The photo of them together was first published in 2011 after the Mail on Sunday tracked down Ms. Giuffre and paid her $160,000 for her story. This year, palace sources started suggesting the photo was fake, but Prince Andrew stopped just short of that in his interview with BBC Newsnight. He said, "You can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked because it's a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. It's very difficult to be able to prove it, but I don't remember that photo being taken. That's me, but whether that's my hand, I have simply no recollection of the photograph ever being taken." The prince also said he thought he had never been upstairs in his friend Ghislaine Maxwell's house where the photo appears to have been taken. But Miss Giuffre told Panorama the photo is genuine, and she gave the original to the FBI in 2011. "I think the world is getting sick of these ridiculous excuses. It's a real photo," she said. "I've given it to the FBI for the investigation, and it's an authentic photo. There's a date on the back of it from when it was printed." She said the date on the back of the photo is 13th March 2001, 2 days after she left London on her trip with Epstein and Miss Maxwell. Panorama also spoke to the freelance photographer Michael Thomas, who first photocopied the picture in 2011. He is convinced the picture is genuine because he found it in the middle of a bundle of photos that Miss Giuffre handed him from her travels with Epstein and Miss Maxwell. He said it was nothing sophisticated. These were 5x7 photos that looked like they had come from Boots the chemist. They were typical teenage snaps. The program also found evidence that supports Miss Giuffre's claim that she gave the original to the FBI. A redacted court document shows she gave 20 photos to the FBI in 2011 and they were scanned front and back. But there are only 19 photos shown in the public version. Panorama has been told Prince Andrew photo was removed from public document to protect his privacy. The news that 5 women say that Prince Andrew witnessed Epstein and his guests receiving massages and have prepared subpoenas should he travel to the U.S. is bad for the prince in several fronts. He says he had no time seen, witnessed, or suspected suspicious behavior at Epstein residences. This flatly contradicts that. The existence of subpoenas, court-backed demands for sworn testimony, makes any visit to the U.S. by the prince vanishingly unlikely. It's pretty extraordinary. The Queen's second son is now effectively unable to travel to the U.S. unless he fancies being forced to give a deposition. The subpoenas can be challenged, but it would be a huge risk getting embroiled in the U.S. legal system. This news and the rest of the program, with a powerful interview by Virginia Giuffre, puts Prince Andrew, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and his denials back in the spotlight. The controversy refuses to go away. Instead, it grows. Another Epstein victim, Sarah Ransom, told Panorama Ghislaine Maxwell, one of Prince Andrew's oldest friends, worked hand in hand with Epstein. Ghislaine controlled the girls. She was like the madame. She was like the nuts and bolts of the sex trafficking operation, and she would also visit Jeffrey on the island to make sure the girls were doing what they were supposed to be doing. She knew what Jeffrey liked. She worked and helped to maintain Jeffrey's standard by intimidating the girls. So this is very much a joint effort. Miss Maxwell could not be reached for comment, but has previously denied any involvement in or knowledge of Epstein's abuse. Given what we know, people, it's proven that Epstein is dead. That that we know. That is a given. He is dead. He is no longer around. Yes, there's conspiracy theories saying he could be off on some remote island, probably another sex pedophile island if it was true, that he was able to fake his own death, and that all these coincidences weren't to kill himself, but to get him out, to stop public eyes on him. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments.